Erbend 10-foot power CNC folder setup part 2. Initial setup and calibration. With the Erbend 10-foot power folder placed and accurately leveled, it can be connected to power and air supplies. A few important things to note when connecting to power and air. First, note that we strongly recommend that a licensed electrician connect the machine to power before operating. The electrician should carefully validate the information on the tag mounted to the machine, which includes power, voltage, current, and frequency. The machine requires the use of an included transformer mounted on an integrated shelf to operate at 230 volts in 3-phase. The licensed electrician must also ensure that the correct 3-phase power is being supplied to the machine, then use a properly sized power cord to wire into the machine. The machine will need to be connected to an air source as well, but first, check that the fitting is a standard 1/4-inch sized fitting for use in US-based shops. Machines may ship with metric fittings and need to be swapped. As part of the purchase of an Erbend folder, you will receive in-person support for the initial setup of the machine. A factory-trained technician will check to ensure the machine is installed correctly, then walk you through setup, calibration, and a basic training for how to create bends. Here are a few key items to familiarize yourself with and that the technician will address as part of in-person initial setup. On initial power-up, watch to ensure that the thin black spring fingers on the rear material table pop up. We also recommend that customers order extra spring fingers, as these are used to move and support sheets of material when bending and are therefore normal wear parts that should be replaced regularly with daily use. After initial power-up, recheck the leveling of the machine in case anything shifted as parts began moving. And this is also a good time to familiarize yourself with the location of Zerk fittings and add grease as needed. Next, calibrate the machine overall as shown. Press the reference button on the main bottom menu, then select All Axis Auto Reference to calibrate the clamping beam, folding beam, and back gauge. During this initial setup, operators can also choose which folding beam to use based on their needs. The machine comes with the larger beam installed, but if an operator wants to swap to the thinner folding beam, note that it must be installed with the included hex bolts with shallow heads and shorter length to ensure proper operation of the machine without interference. Some other initial calibrations to be aware of include the material bed depth and how it affects different material thicknesses and finishes. Note that the bed depth on the folding bar should never be flush, as that will cause collision of the bar and table and damage the folding bar. Also pay attention to the manual crowning adjustment. For full-length or long bends, crowning can be adjusted in the center of the machine to ensure there is no bowing of material. This initial setup is also a good opportunity to get generally familiarized with the main menu and navigating the machine's interface. Home is simply the main home screen where a user logs in and where the controller can be connected to Wi-Fi, restarted, or shut down. This is also where a servicing technician would log in to perform software-based maintenance and updates, and where the controller can be connected remotely for updates. Reference is where the operator performs the aforementioned all-axis auto-reference to ensure both beams and back gauge are calibrated. Production is where the operator will spend most of their time, as this is where you create line-by-line drawings, and this is also the screen that you view to execute bends. The manual item on the main menu allows manual adjustment of all machine axes. Z is the clamping beam, Y is the folding beam, and X is the back gauge. However, these adjustments are primarily for maintenance and troubleshooting, not for production. And finally, settings contains a number of different functions. First, within settings, there is the 2D profile drawing tool, which allows a user to draw profiles on screen, adjust parameters, then convert to line by line for production. Next, inside settings, there's also an option for tool selection, which on the stock machine allows for switching between the two different width folding beams previously mentioned. The material database allows operators to adjust parameters for different materials they are using regularly, including corrections for individual axes. These corrections can be saved, then toggled on and off on the production screen so that they don't need to be manually entered every time. And finally, the last settings menu item within the main setting menu is accessible only by service technicians or administrators for updates and maintenance and won't be accessed by operators. Once these first items and adjustments have been addressed and you've become familiarized with the interface of the machine, you can move on to some simple trial bends to get other parameters adjusted and the machine ready for regular production.